FIM has missionaries serving all around the world, but probably none of them serve in a place that is as easily recognized as the place we are right now. I'm standing on Mars Hill in Athens. Behind me, of course, is the Greek Acropolis, the mountain or the hill upon which there were many buildings and temples, and the most familiar of those, the Parthenon. The place where we are is where Paul preached his sermon in Acts chapter 17, in which he declared, "The God who made heaven and earth does not dwell in temples made by human hands." And he was looking, of course, at the most famous, most beautiful, largest temple in the ancient world. Our missionaries are serving here in this city of 4 million, ministering to refugees, men and women who have come predominantly out of the Middle East, fleeing war, fleeing persecution, fleeing for their lives. One of whom I spoke to recently was a businessman, an educated man, an English teacher, owned several homes and a car, and had a very comfortable life in the country in which he was. Paid 10,000 euros just to get him and his family a trip out of his country in a plastic boat. Even the journey itself was a risk of his life. And so this is the city in which this family ministers. We don't show their story or faces because the refugees to whom they minister to, it makes it much more acceptable, and it really enhances their ministry if they're kept at a low profile. And so we really appreciate that kind of dedication that they have. They're giving food and clothing and English lessons and computer classes and helping with job placements for these men and women who have arrived here with no money and nothing of their own other than just to escape with their lives. And so it's ministries like this in which we have an opportunity to proclaim the gospel. Many have come to know Christ through this ministry. Recently, a retreat here resulted in many of the folks having receiving Christ and being baptized and just coming to know Christ as their Savior, being discipled. And so here in this beautiful place, the gospel is being proclaimed. There are tremendous opportunities for the gospel as a result of the tremendous human suffering that's taking place around the world. So pray for refugees in places like Athens and throughout Europe. Pray that God would bring other servants to share the gospel with them, to help them in their needs. Pray for FIM's missionaries here in this city, and that God would accomplish His work in spite of the challenges and difficulties around the world. Thanks for watching. You can learn more about this ministry and others at www.fim.org.